The reason why I do this work is to combat these people who are setting those unrealistic expectations and making you feel like a failure and say, this is not about the process. This is about the content, what's going on in your head. Before we get into today's episode, I want to make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, if you don't want to miss any content that's being dropped, make sure you hit that notification bell as well. I also want to know who are the people you want to hear from on this show and what topics would you like me to continue to cover. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now, let's get into the episode. Do you ever watch your social media and be like, is this right? Did I just hear that from this influencer that I should drink apple cider vinegar every day to lose weight? Listen, I've been on social media and I've seen certain influencers and I'm like, wait, what the hell are they talking about? I've seen people say that it feels so good to be skinny because all clothes feel good to me. I've had people say not to eat this, eat that, drink this, don't do that, do this workout and you'll look this way. And it is absolutely nutty. And if this is you, welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, I talk about the red flags of social media influencers. Yay, my favorite thing to do is talk about what is actually out there, what I've seen firsthand, and how to help you avoid a lot of these red flags. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as I elevate your mind. What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of this amazing podcast. For those of you who are new to this podcast, I start off with talking about my life, my dogs, my husband, my whatever. If you're not interested in getting to know me, you can look at the show notes below and check out when I talk about this subject at hand. So, as promised, the Valley. I can't. It's great TV if you're not watching it because tune in. You'll be like, what is this roller coaster? So for those who don't know, The Valley is an extension of Vanderpump Rules. Vanderpump Rules was a TV show about 20-something models, actors in Hollywood working in this restaurant, which I loved because I worked in a restaurant and I always said, we need film, like someone needs to film us because it's all, everyone dates everyone. There's drama. Everyone's getting mad at everyone, like cussing someone out in the well and then going and having drinks afterwards. It's all real. And so now, obviously, 10 plus years later, these individuals have grown up, they're starting families. And so this is an extension of that show called The Valley. Now, in The Valley, it's basically couples in the Valley. So the Valley is like a part of Los Angeles, like Northridge area. It's suburban area. And they follow around these couples who all are friends and party together and go to events together and trips and obviously have kiddos and all that. And this season, we have Jax Taylor, who was from Vanderpump Rules, admitting that he has a cocaine addiction, as well as he has bipolar disorder. And you just see the narcissism like dripping off of his body. It is nuts how he speaks to his now ex-wife, how he becomes the victim of everything. It's her fault why he is the way he is. And he just projects so much blame and shame on her, even while in treatment. He's in a treatment facility, and in between therapy sessions, he's sending her scathing texts. And I'm just thinking as a therapist, I'm like, who's giving him his phone? That is something we do not do in treatment here in Arizona. Apparently, there's this law in California, like no one can keep you from your phone or something, but that should be something you sign off on. But I don't know. I feel like it's law treatment. So I don't know what it is. Then you have Jesse, who is divorcing Michelle. And again, just the manipulation and narcissism. Now, Michelle is not unscathed. She also is, you can see her in a couple episodes be really manipulative. But Jesse is just, there's this trip to Santa Barbara and it ends up with him and he gets upset because they're in this gratitude circle. And Michelle says, I'm grateful for the day we decided to have a child. I'm not sure why she had to say that. It was like pass around this ball and say something you're grateful to about the person who passed it to you, but you weren't supposed to pass it to your spouse, but he's passed it to his now divorced wife. And she had to come up with something. So that's all she could say, which made him upset. And then he's like,
in his underwear. You guys, these chonies were like grandma panties times 10. I'm sorry. If some dude showed, I hope Ira can put a picture of this underwear. Please look, please, Ira, do that for me. It's nuts. He looks ridiculous, but it's all great. The show is great. And if you need something to watch, watch The Valley. Okay. So I was talking about me joining a gym because I want to meet new people and I want to make new friends. A lot of my friends have moved, or like one of my best friends, she's starting to work on weekends because she's a doctor, radiology doctor. She's a nurse practitioner and she's working on weekends and we're not drinking as much. So let me go find some peeps. So I joined this local group fitness. I didn't join. I started taking class at a local group fitness gym, I guess. And I liked it because it was phase training, as I talked about, and you could track your lifts. And the owner and I are texting, and I tell him, I was like, I'd like to continue with the program, is my words exactly. Maybe I should have been more clear. And for me personally, as a business owner, that's where I'd be like, great, here's the contract, like, here's the payment, let's set you up. Wonderful. No, I didn't get that. And then I was trying to make sure that I was signed up for the 5 a.m. on Thursday and I didn't hear anything back. So I just assumed, okay, 5 a.m. is still a go because I went to 5 a.m. Monday and Tuesday and no one showed up. So then I texted him. I was like, hey, no one showed up. I think I'm going to pass. I just think it started to feel like it wasn't ran smoothly, especially as someone who runs a business. And believe me, I'm not the expert in all things business, but I have a good grasp on it. So I decided not to join. So now my brain goes one of two ways. Do I just get a rower and like, because I wanted to do metabolic conditioning, and I don't just want to run on the treadmill. So I was like, do I get a rower or do I just go back to mountainside and try to do my metabolic conditioning and maybe talk to people at the gym? I don't know. So if you guys know places where I can meet new people, please let me know because I'm trying to make friends at 42 and it's very difficult. Obviously, social media came along and it allowed us to share our lives. And we could share videos, we could share photos, all of the things. And influencing became a thing. I'm not sure who the first influencer was, but I'm pretty sure it was my friend Cynthia. She was on this podcast before because she started to use social media to help build her business, which is Fabulous Arizona. And she would show different restaurants that were opening or she was featuring. She would show different hotels and things like that. This was before the word influencer was a thing. And so people started picking up on this. And for those people who are in the health space, they started to show different workouts, me being one of them, different general information about health, right? This in Fitspo where you could look like me if you do XYZ. Just the exposure to more bodies and more people that you normally wouldn't be exposed to without social media made it more prevalent that you would compare your body to others and then see their lives on social media and want to be like them. So the accessibility of it, even maybe the motivation, is something that was really, really positive. And for some people, seeing if done right, I could work out in a way that doesn't have to be grueling, doesn't have to be in the gym. I know like my friend Adele shows how to, she was on this podcast, shows how to work out with this set of dumbbells, right? I love her content because it's so simple and easy. But the cons are there's a lot of misinformation. There is a lot of misinformation, and there's no regulatory body to the space. So you could literally say whatever you want and get away with it, and someone's going to believe you, right? And for someone who, I work from this place of integrity. My goal is to change the industry. My goal is to focus on mindset first before anything else, then create sustainable habits around your nutrition and movement. And every time I'm creating something, I'm looking at the person in front of me. I'm not doing this cookie cutter bullshit. I'm not working from other people's programs. I am working from the person in front of me. And that is incredibly important to me. It's incredibly important to my company because that is what someone should expect when they come to coach with me. They also should expect clear communication. They should expect consistent communication and not feel kind of left in the dust. I can't tell you how many of my clients have told me horror stories from some of these influencers that we'll talk about. But I wanted to pull up some research on the rise of fitness influencers. In a study from Psych Post, it showed that followers of fitness influencers often engage in more vigorous exercise and consume more fruits and vegetables. Yay. However, this increased physical activity is paradoxically linked to poor mental health outcomes, including heightened depressive symptoms and body dissatisfaction. This next article said social comparison theory explains how individuals assess their own worth by comparing themselves to others. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok amplify this effect, leading users, especially women, to make upward comparisons against idealized body images. Next, we have a article in Psychology News, that constant exposure to idealized body images and fitness achievements on social media can trigger feelings of anxiety, depression, and body dissatisfaction. This is particularly concerning for individuals prone to perfectionism and control issues. That's all of us, by the way. So I want to prepare you with this red flag list. And one of my first podcasts was right after I had left Coaching Con. And I was made aware that this influencer who has a very big following, lives in a multi-million-dollar home, all the things, who was saying, I help women over 40. Number one, she wasn't over 40. I don't know if that matters to you guys, but she wasn't over 40. And number two, she had just had a mommy makeover, liposuction, thigh lipo, breast augmentation, all the things, tons of work in her face, and was telling her followers that this is how I did it, not saying, oh, and I got a mommy makeover. Now, listen, I'm all about transparency here. If you're like, yes, I do the exercises and the thing, but I'm also getting the surgery, I would like to be clear. Or like my friend Crystal, when she was losing weight, she did explain she was on a GLP-1. She's a coach and she now has a program based on losing weight with the GLP-1 and coaching, right? But if she didn't share that, I would probably not associate myself with her because I think it's really important to be transparent. But a lot of these people aren't. So the first red flag is shallow over educational. Emphasis on things like abs and glutes and aesthetics with no educational value. It's problematic because it doesn't empower people to understand why something isn't working. It just makes you dependent, and not only dependent, but that comparison, that social comparison theory gets very, very heightened because you want to look that way and they're telling you to do this workout to look that way. You're not seeing results. So then you feel more of a failure, but they're seeing results. So again, what's wrong with you? So these trending ideas of like a 10-minute workout with no context of what is the 10-minute workout? Why is it important? Why did I choose those particular exercises? How do I progress in this workout? Why are my rest times something important? This is all things that we should know. And in my with my coaching, I want clients to leave being able to understand why I did the things I did. So I oftentimes will make a change to a calorie intake and explain why and explain what it's doing for the body, or explain the new workout. We're going to move from strength to hypertrophy. This is why. Then helping clients to understand how to make those workouts themselves. What we want to look for instead, again, is influencers who explain the science, the adaptations, maybe even the progressions or regressions of movements, who have a variety of different choices, right? And really, again, helping you understand why. There's a guy that I follow. His handle is not easy to remember, but he does these table posts where on one side of the table is 2,500 calories. On the other side of the table, he has 1,550 calories. And he's just showing you, this is a meal with extra butter and some ranch. This meal doesn't have the butter, and we're using Bolt House Ranch instead. And he's just boom, boom, boom. It's so educational. It's very simple. It's simple. And you can walk away from that being like, oh, those are easy changes I can make to reduce the calories on my plate. I love stuff like that. So that is number one. Number two, oh my God, excessive product promotion. They are just wanting to make money off of you. They don't care if you learn anything. Frequent posts about supplements, detox teas, fat burners, waist trainers. The supplements are all the rage right now because there's this idea that if I get the right supplement package, that's going to be the thing that helps me lose weight. Supplements are very little rocks in the scale or the hierarchy of what's going to help you be healthier. Do I take supplements? Yes. If I forget to take supplements, am I like, oh my God? No. Because I take a plethora of supplements and I don't necessarily see a difference or feel a difference, but I do also not get sick. 'Cause that's really what I'm trying not to do because I don't want to get sick. So it's problematic because it undermines credibility and promotes, again, like this quick fix mentality of take these supplements or drink this tea or use this waist trainer and you'll look like me. Nothing about it says I work out 4 to 6 times a week. I eat in this way. I hit this amount of protein. Sleep 7 to 9 hours. Da 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 da.
I interrupt this episode to bring this month's comment contest. This month, I am giving away a 5-product bundle for Legion Athletic products. Legion is by far my favorite supplement line as they don't have a bunch of junk in their products. Plus, like their protein powder is by far the best tasting on the market. All you have to do is drop a positive comment under this video, maybe a question about the topic at hand, maybe how you relate to the episode. Then you will be put in a drawing for this amazing package that I will draw a name at the end of the month and announce on the show. Now, back to the episode.
None of it says that. It just says, here, take this, you'll be okay. There's no disclosures, right? There's no even discussion of side effects. These things are constantly changing and they're too good to be true. They're too good to be true. And again, supplements to me are very little pebbles. If you had a jar of rocks, you have your big rocks first and you have these little pebbles of sand. That's what supplements would be. Instead, we want to look at transparency. The other thing we want to look at too is like, what are they trying to, like, who's backing them? This isn't necessarily for influencers, but some of these doctors I've heard on podcasts, like you can hear they're backed by big pharma and they're pushing some of these big pharma ideas and trying to pull at your insecurities and your heartstrings in order for you to say, oh, that's what I need. So keep that in mind too. Science-backed, peer-reviewed research and minimal cells, right? Minimal kind of links and cells. For us, we do often do CTAs to see if someone wants more information. So calls to action on our page. But if I'm running a launch, so just for some business background, we'll launch a program every quarter. And for that month or so, we're going to like really focus on that launch so that people who are interested in joining that make sure they get all the information. They understand what it's going to be like. They understand the process, what they should get out of it, so on and so forth. So, but in between that, I'm just posting education, posting relatable personal information, and so on. Red flag number 3, lack of qualifications. People are giving you information out there who have no certifications through NASM, through ACE, through Girls Gone Strong, Precision Nutrition. They have no degree and they have no real world experience. Just because you train someone in person for 6 months doesn't make you an expert. Doesn't make you understand. Yes. And you should be charging accordingly because of the work that you do and the lack of experience you have. But these people online, especially the people who have lost weight and then show their entire social media as their before and after pictures, and they have no credibility. They don't have any education behind it. They just figured out how to lose weight. They probably lost weight using someone else's program who actually had the certifications. I saw this with the guy I used to train with, where he actually worked with competitors and he would help the competitors get to a certain point, get to like a pro card. And then they would then start their own coaching practice when in all reality, it was him and his coaching practice. Now, they had to do the work. I'm not discounting that, but you know what I mean? It's important because we want to make sure that people are safe. We also want to make sure the approach that we're doing is effective for whatever the clients need. The other thing is we want to ensure that our programming So our training that we're creating is appropriate for that client. Now, I have seen people copy and paste training from others and put it into a client's program. I don't do that. We have had some clients come over from Mind Pump and they're working a Mind Pump program. But for me, I'm going to create custom programming for my client who is in front of me. And that's incredibly important to me, especially because that is what I promote for this company. So if you don't know, if you have to use someone else to guide you or use someone else's programming, then maybe you need to do more education around programming and how to create it. There are plenty of people that influence me because I like their programming and I kind of like their style. So I might try it out with a client who is willing, but I'm not going to, slap it on to everyone. For influencers, it can be really dangerous if we're not giving sound nutritional advice or proper form or even mindset work. I get really annoyed with these people who say I'm a somatic trauma informed coach, but they try to go into that trauma realm, but they wouldn't know what to do if someone actually had like a traumatic feedback event where they're reliving a trauma. Like that is something that only therapists should be doing. And so the mindset work to me is also another area that boggles my mind. It's like you did this course on the very basics of cognitive behavioral therapy, and now you're a mindset coach. Like, stop it. But what we want to look for is listed certifications. I'm not sure, and this is the problem, is like there is no regulatory board, but like for my license, you can look it up and make sure that it is current, right? For my therapy license. Listen to them. Are they talking about continuing education? I talk about it all the time. My recent continuing education for my certification as a personal trainer and nutrition coach was the Girls Gone Strong menopause specialist. So I did that entire course. And then obviously I'm working for my therapy license, my continuing education, working on a binge eating certification, a tune eating certification, and a perfectionism, how to work perfectionism. So look for that. All right. Number 4, one size fits all advice. There was someone who got in a lot of trouble because she was offering the same nutritional plans, the same exact workouts, but calling it custom. This pisses me off more than anything because that is going to make you feel like a failure. And now we have a program like the Mindset of Movement app, which in that app, you have the same workouts. However, there's a variety of different styles based on you and what you have. You only have body weight, there's that workout. If you have dumbbells, you only have 3 days, there's that workout. You only have 20 minutes in 3 days, there's that workout program. But what I'm talking about is they're offering the same kind of cookie cutter 12 to 1500 calorie deficit, same kind of macros, and you're doing the same workouts. Could you be successful? Yes. I remember during COVID, just for shits and gigs, I ran a couple of those programs and I lost weight and I saw changes. But what happens, like for me, I know how to transition out of that. But what happens when you need to and you don't have the education? What did you learn? You learn how to read a workout and read macros and try to do both. I had someone tell me the other day, like, I wish someone would just come in and teach, like, show me what to eat or have like a meal prep company, like feed me. And in my mind, like, I understand why she wanted that, but that's also going to keep her dependent. And it's going to make her feel like she can't do it on her own because she's not opening herself up to doing it on her own. Never should we ever be following the same diet as anyone else. Every single person is different. Your workout plan should also be different. We want to make sure that we're understanding age, we're understanding our injury history, our goals, we're understanding our experience, right? Our experience with lifting and so much more. And things to look out for, like an example would be this exact workout gave me my dream body, right? Or an example from what we see all the time is what I eat in a day. And people will follow that. But what that influencer, who's probably pretty low body fat, pretty lean, younger, maybe short, tall, who knows, their macronutrient and calorie count is going to be very different than yours. So be careful of that. And again, what to look for, influencers who do not discuss customization, or I'm sorry, cut that, Ira. What we want to look for instead is influencers or coaches who discuss customizations, have disclaimers or assessments that help them learn you. Another part of that too is I love a check in process. I want to be able to contact the person, I want to be able to ask questions, I want to be able to make changes. And that is what I do in my program. And I've had so many horror stories where people are like, I cannot believe how active we communicate in your program because they've paid a lot of money for some of these big names. And I won't throw them under the bus. And they're like, I heard from my coach once a month and that was it. And then if I didn't hit the targets, I was shamed. And just like, well, all these things happened. There was no place for me to check in and discuss it. So that's really important. Number 5 is unrealistic promises, right? Lose 10 pounds in 7 days, get a six pack in 2 weeks. We know that's not true. I actually, in my CEU, they showed these old magazines. I don't remember what magazine it was, like Home and Garden or something, not Home and Garden, one of them, Self magazine or something like that. And it was these exact things. Like we've been doing this for so long and we haven't learned our lesson. It's just not on a magazine cover. It's the influencer who has the six pack who just wants your money. They want you to believe that's true. It's not true. It sets unhealthy expectations and leads to discouragement. We're thinking, I'm going to be that person. I'm going to look that way. Yay, me. I cannot wait. Maybe you don't even have a six pack at the end. You also maybe don't have friends because you've done this program and you haven't talked to them, or your spouse is mad at you because you've been focusing and white knuckling to this program, hoping you get the six pack abs. And now we're left off with less than when we started. I know that's dramatic, but you know what I mean. We want to focus on those influencers and people that we follow that talk about long-term goals, right? Long-term health, longevity, programs that are sustainable. And of course, the root cause of a lot of this. I'm one of the only people doing this work because I believe in it. There's a few of us and they're in my squad. And again, it's not clicky, right? It's not clickbaitable to say, hey, the reason why I do this work is to combat these people who are setting those unrealistic expectations and making you feel like a failure and say, this is not about the process. This is about the content, what's going on in your head. And we want to figure that out while also helping you create sustainable change. So, how do we vet the fitness influencer? Again, checklist for you. Are they certified? Do they explain why something works? Do they offer personalized or general advice? Are they constantly trying to sell you something? Do they promote long term health or short term aesthetics? And lastly, do they empower their audience to feel smarter, not just trendy in the end? By recognizing these red flags, individuals like yourself can make informed decisions on how you're going to proceed forward and, more importantly, who you're going to follow for advice. This journey of health and fitness is a lifelong journey. So, following those people who promote that in longevity and not just a 6-week fix is incredibly, incredibly important. But take all of this information and decide who you are going to follow. And make sure you're following us at the Mindset Mirror Connection on Instagram and TikTok. Myself individually at the Mindset of Matter Coaching on Instagram, the Mindset of Matter on TikTok. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. I would love a new review of this new format of just listening to yours truly. I'd love to hear that this is working for you. And again, I'm going to bring more people in. This is just the first chunk of episodes that I'm recording by myself. With that said, there's a lot of changes happening in the background. I am going to be running my next launch, which is going to, I think, be a bit different this time, you guys. I know I've talked about the mindset of menopause. I will have information most likely in the next coming weeks. So I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you all the time. And I want you to remember this: what you say in your mind, my dear, you will see in the mirror. Bye-bye.